Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be showing you guys my collection at the end of 2024. And I think it was 2 years ago that I restarted collecting again, and I also started with doll customizing. This doll, named Una Shelby, was the first video on this channel, and I showed you my whole process of making her. She is a G3 Twyla Boogeyman base with rerouted nylon hair that I took off of a Rainbow High doll. Her dress is reused from a children's dress. I did body mods on her nose, her horns, her ears, her hooves, and her lower legs. And I started on her in the spring of 2024. I set up this little background to give some interest and to also give the dolls a context to be inside of. I have these shelves next to my desk, and I've been trying to figure out how to use this space for a while, and I think I will leave this as a little picture setup for future videos as well. We will see how that actually goes, but that's my intention right now. I hope you enjoy watching. I hope you like getting to see my dolls. Let me know which one of the dolls was your favorite, and if there's anything you'd like me to go into more detail on. Enjoy! I thought it'd be nice to start with the first doll I bought when I started collecting again. This is a Generation 1 Mercedes King that I obviously customized and rerouted and all of that. I bought her at the end of 2022, and she's the Gala Ghouls version of herself. I think that's what she's called because she has the sparkly blue skin. I rerouted her with hair from the Doll Hair Emporium. This is a mix of Misty Lake and the grey color that they have. I tried to match her skin tone as well as I could. And I also shortened her a substantial amount. I made her quite tiny. I rerouted this hair with the knot method, which took a long amount of time, and I redid her face about 4 times before I was happy with it. She's wearing a Rainbow High shirt, a little hoodie I made myself, underpants, and this leg here has a cast on it because being my first time doing body mods, I shortened her lower, her upper legs, and also her arms. You can kind of see, I did this with a similar method to the Axolotl girl where I tinted the Milliput to match her skin tone. She didn't turn out the sturdiest, and it's quite nice how small she is. I think that's really cute. This Mercedes also came with her tail, which I'm quite happy about. And I'm going to leave her here for the next 2 dolls. These 2 are Blind Box BJDs from Kika Goods. They're both the Bonnie Takes the Streets, I think is the name of the series. I've named this one Bonnie, I've named this one Clyde. I like imagining that my dolls have a reason to all exist within the same universe that is my shelves. And so these 2 I imagine are her little cousins from Tokyo. Her name is Marla, by the way. I named her Marla quite a while ago. But so those are her cousins. I think that's really cute. I quite like them. I haven't changed anything about them. And this was my first experience with ball jointed dolls, and it's really quite incredible the range of movement they have. But I find it really hard to keep them posed. I find that the elastic is quite tightly strung. Like, for example, their hand, I think, is supposed to be able to bend at the wrist, but there's barely any space for that. I also always pose Clyde with her huge rainbow slug that I imagine she won at a carnival game. Next, I think it makes sense to show this doll. Her name is Pinky, and she is Marla's sister, Marla's spunkier, less shy sister. She also has some body modifications. I think I shortened her thighs. I shortened her thighs and widened her hips to try and get her closer to the Generation 3 proportions. And I also moved her ear from the top of her head to the side of her head because I thought it'd be cute to have both a regular rat and a Dumbo rat. Her eyes, I think, look a bit funky. I gave her this Hime haircut with the little cut-off bits on the side, and then she has these very long ponytails. She is also rerouted with nylon from Doll Hair Emporium. I think this one is called Pink Peppercorn. And then she is wearing Draculaura's School Spirit shoes that I took all the paint off of. These huge leg warmers, Draculaura's School Spirit dress, and then this little sweater I made. She's the City Ghouls set of the G1 Mercedes King, and you can tell because she doesn't have the shimmery skin. Next, we're going to move on to a couple dolls that I refer to mostly as my comfort dolls. This is G3 Core Laguna with repainted lips, removed forehead dots, and I've boil washed her hair, but it isn't perfectly sleek. She's wearing a rainbow high dress that I think came with Violet, but I got it off AliExpress. She's wearing these pink rainbow high shoes. Her bag is from those rainbow high mystery boxes. And then I crocheted her little cardigan that I think is just adorable. Her earrings are from Core Refresh Laguna. And she's one of my favorite dolls just because she's so pretty. And I'm gonna leave her on screen while I show you the other two because they kind of come in a trio. This is my Core Frankie that I also did a lip repaint on, and their eyebrows are repainted. This Frankie has kind of bad staining. I don't know if you can see. Yeah, you can kind of see. Let's see if we can. You can't really see it too well. I repainted their lips a couple times and it stained kind of badly. The Mystic Clean erasers, I went over it with one of those and tried to get it off, and it got most of it off, but they're still a bit stained. However, they have a lip repaint. They're wearing Rainbow High Rex's hoodie. They have their little backpack, and they're wearing Frankie's Ultimate Secret shoes, one of Draculaura's socks, and their core skirt. And these comfort dolls, I have them mainly because I quite like the G3 show. I think the characters are very sweet and I connect with them very well. And so to have my own version of the characters just is quite nice. The last one of my comfort dolls is Creepover Twyla. For her, I repainted her scleras to be dark. She has really a bit of a creased stare. And then I took the straps off her backpack and connected the ribbon of her little headpiece to make it a side bag. You can tell they all have bags and little accessories. And they just feel really nostalgic to me to have these versions of the characters that stay very true to the show's version of the character, and yet I got to edit them to my liking. Twyla's hair is a bit unmanageable and I might curl it in the future, but it also feels very authentic to just have quite frizzy hair on my dolls. I don't necessarily know how to explain the coexistence of this many Frankies on my doll shelves, and I've just decided that I'm not gonna worry about it. This Frankie used to be a Ultimate Secrets Frankie. I was really bothered by the polypropylene hair, and now I'm happy with this Frankie. They're wearing a rainbow high jacket, this little tube top, and they have also rainbow high Rex's pants that I took in the waist. I painted this little lightning bolt on and I distressed them. They're wearing Frankie's core shoes, but repainted. And I really like their face, the way their face came out. It feels to me like a really nice balance of my own repainting style and also what G1 Frankie used to look like a bit. Because I used to own a G1 Frankie and I got rid of her. This Frankie feels like a really nice mix between G1 Frankie and G3 Frankie, and just what I like myself now and what I liked then. Their hair is incredibly long. It's also nylon from the Doll Hair Emporium. I order from the Doll Hair Emporium because that's the easiest to get in Europe where I live without paying tons for shipping, even though you still pay quite a lot. And it's black nylon that I think, this is crazy, they were out of black nylon, so I bought a mix that I think was called Halloween and just sectioned out the black portions. And then the white, I'm not sure what it's called. This hair is very, very thick and very long, so it's kind of too heavy to do anything with. And you can see that their head has gotten a bit loose. Also, I don't know if you'll notice, I gave them the neck bolts again, which I really like. Please ignore the terrible lighting. I thought it was kind of fitting. I realized I'd forgotten to show one of the dolls, namely the fourth one of my Frankies. This is Vicky. She's my version of a character more directly inspired by Frankenstein's monster from the book rather than from the movie. I carved all of these stitches into her skin, and I carved her name into her leg. Her name is Vicky. These boots are from Ghoul Spirit Frankie, but I glued some fabric over top and drew with marker and decorated it and such. I used the lino cutting tool to carve into her body and then filled it up with black paint and then scrubbed off the excess. Along with Toralei, she is one of the few dolls that has a little middle finger that she's holding up. Her skirt is also from Ghoul Spirit Frankie. Her belt is from Core Frankie. Her shirt is actually made out of Lorna McNessie's little hat and Toralei's Ghoul Spirit socks. This vest came to me in a lot of dolls, and it was actually a jacket at the time. She is rerouted with black saran, which is very stiff actually. And here's her face. In the book, she has yellow eyes, or he has yellow eyes, the monster. So I tried to work off of that. I tried to make her look quite upset. She has these real metal earrings in her ears that go all the way through. And then her hat is from Sculpted Secrets Frankie. I put rank on there, as in like, that smells rank. It just felt like it'd be a funny decoration. So there she is. Kind of the opposite of what I would argue regular Frankie is. And if you want to see more of her process, you can see that on my Instagram as well. Well, we're at it, going through my Frankies. This is my last Frankie. This is the Ghoul Spirit Frankie with the side shave, and I repainted their side shave. I think I should repaint it again because it doesn't match their actual hair very well. And I rerouted the little back section of hair because that blue felt really scratchy. I think it was polypropylene. They're wearing rainbow high shoes, rainbow high Rex's jacket, and this rainbow high shirt. And then the shorts I made myself. They're like tight little running shorts. I quite like the way I repainted their face, the way that I put the little lightning bolts in their eyes. There's no Frankie without Cleo. Here's my G3 Cleo redesign. Let's put them next to each other. This is also Ghoul Spirit Cleo. She has her hair tied back behind her neck in a little ponytail. And then I also rooted in some bangs that have a very hard time staying down. I repainted both her eyelids and her earrings with gold. Here's the thing, when I ordered a Ghoul Spirit set when it first came out and accidentally received two. So I took one of these jackets and turned it into this little G1 inspired shirt. So that's what she's wearing on the top. On the bottom, she's wearing her Core Refresh skirt. and then her Core Refresh little snake leg band and her Core Refresh shoes. If you have trouble keeping the snake on, often I notice just twisting it a little bit can help. It really depends on the angle it's at. While we're on the Ghoul Spirits set, this is my G3 redesign of Draculaura. I kept her bangs and I took out the ponytail on her Ghoul Spirit doll. I like the color of pink that she has in the Ghoul Spirit set. I think most of the other Draculauras have a very peachy pink, and this one's quite cool toned. She's wearing mostly rainbow high clothes, though I'm pretty sure these are Clawdeen's socks from the Ghoul Spirit set. I gave her grey eyeshadow because I liked how limited her color scheme is, and put little hearts in her eyes. And I gave her lips an ombre that's lighter in the middle. I might change that in the future, but I think for now, I like how soft she looks. I like how sweet she looks. I tailored this dress to fit her better because she's a bit smaller than the rainbow high proportions. Next, I thought it'd be nice to show Clawdeen. My Clawdeen went through a lot of iterations, and if you watched my werewolf video, you will probably have seen her before. If you follow me on Instagram, you've seen all the iterations she went through. I tried curling her hair, I tried micro-braiding her hair. In the end, I ended up with this, and she's wearing rainbow high tights. I don't know where this piece of clothing came from, but it used to be a shirt. I made her this little bralette, and then this is a rainbow high jacket, and then she has these leg warmers, which come with Ghoul Spirit Clawdeen, and the shoes are repainted Core Draculaura shoes. And then for her face, I think she's really sweet. I gave her these huge puppy eyes and these soft little eyebrows and a little warm pink lip color. And if you can see quite up close, I tried to include little half moons, or not half moons, little crescent moons around her pupil. And I gave her these really warm dark brown eyes. I think she's adorable. I think she's so cute. I also didn't use any black in her face up, except for in her pupils, which I think helps with the softness of her face. I painted her little nails, which I think is quite adorable. I like this girly Clawdeen. I know a lot of people don't like that they got rid of the fierce Clawdeen of Generation 1, but I like this reimagining of her a lot, especially when you put her together with my Toralei. I had a lot of trouble bonding with this Toralei. She also came with the Ghoul Spirits. Both of them are rerouted with nylon, which you can probably tell by the shininess. I rerouted this Toralei first with yarn and just really didn't like it. She also went through a lot of iterations for me to like her in the end, and I posted her face up on Instagram as a video as well. And I like her little angry eyebrows. I like the stripes on her forehead. She's wearing Clawdeen's earrings, actually, just with a little hanging moon shape cut off. And then this is a rainbow high jacket. These are pants that I made myself. And then she's wearing Clawdeen's Ghoul Spirit shoes. Oh, I just love how much attitude she has. And often I will put them next to each other. You can see that I cut off part of their stands so they could stand closer together, because I just think as a couple they're so cute. Also, because I got 2 Ghoul Spirit sets, I actually have an extra set of hands for this Toralei. So I made her capable of flipping you off. Apologies if that offends you. I just think that fits her. I just think that fits her vibe. I think they're the orange cat golden retriever couple of Monster High, and I think that's just the cutest. Next, for my G3 redesigns, here's one of my favorites, if not my favorite, and that's Abbey. I was so excited to learn that we got a tall plus-sized sculpt for her, and when I got her, I immediately rebooted her again with nylon from Doll Hair Emporium. There's this dark blue color that I don't remember the name of, and then the same white that other Frankie uses. This dress is her pants repurposed, and then the like little shrug she's wearing used to be her little boa, I guess. And then she has these rainbow high shoes. And up close, I cut these earrings apart because I just thought the little chain was unnecessary. And then for her face, I tried to keep her features, and I gave her these really thick eyebrows that I think just look beautiful on her soft face. I gave her the little lower eye bags, which I think make her look really sweet. And I tried to make sure that her eyes stayed brown because I thought that was a really nice feature, and we don't have a lot of brown-eyed dolls. And I put these little snowflakes in her eyes. I gave her the purple lips with her little tusks. And for her hairstyle, I pulled most of the white hair back into a ponytail and then left out these little front pieces. And she's just absolutely my favorite. Her body mold is so pretty, and then her face mold is also so pretty. And then she has her adorable little horns. Just the best. And then her hand mold is so pretty, and she has the bigger feet, but they fit into these shoes with no problem. And if you follow me on Instagram, you've seen plenty of her already. She was my first go at curling with the pipe cleaners, as you saw in Una's video. And her hair still looks amazing. It's fallen out a bit since the initial curling, but it just is so voluminous and shiny and curly and great. I love the hair blend Spectra got for G3 with these little soft pink bits, and there's little blue strands in there too. For the dress, I tried to make her a bubble skirt, but it came out quite short, and then cut off these extra hanging bits from her belt. I thought I'd make it long sleeved just so that her legs could be the interesting part, and I kept her original earrings. And then for the shoes, she's wearing Skulltimate Seekers 1 Frankie's like longer boots with all of the colorful stuff taken off, just so that her see-through feet can continue all the way through. And then for her face, I wanted her face to look quite ghostly still. Her lips have been a bit troublesome for me because I tried to put matte varnish on top and it stayed quite sticky. I tried to make her eyes quite deep set and downturned, and then also tried to keep the dark sclera and the bright blue eyes. And I think she looks sweet with her really straight eyebrows. She's such a dramatic face mold, and I really wanted to accentuate that with my repaint. And on the dress, it's actually based off of a dress I have myself, where the waist points down, but the skirt just ended up being so short that I just needed the belt to squeeze it down. But she's one of my favorites. And of course she has her iPad. I think it's so funny she comes with an iPad. iPad babies unite. Here's another one of my favorites. If we can focus. Venus. Venus, I did a very seemingly almost useless reboot on her, but I'll show you up close in a little bit. And added some of the vines that I had from a G1 doll of hers, both here on her leg and here around her thigh. Then she's wearing Skulltimate Secrets 1 Frankie's shorts, and these are Draculaura shorts repainted. And now that we're here, I actually realized I forgot to say something about my Twyla. I don't know why it comes up now. Not that it has anything to do with Venus, but the reason I haven't done a G3 redesign of Twyla is because I really want to do that on her. I really want to do that on her Fearbook doll, and that doll just hasn't come to my country yet, so I've had no way to get access to her, to repaint her, and to do that redesign that I want to do. So I don't know if I will ever get my grubby little hands on her, but rest assured, if I get my grubby little hands on Fearbook Twyla, I will be recording a redesign video. Looking at Venus up close, her base doll is so good that I really didn't change a lot, but I thought she would look cool in a bit scarier of a face, with the darker eye makeup around her eyes. And I also thought because she's a plant monster, it might be exciting to play around with what her eyes might look like. So I painted these flowers on the inside of her eyes. And then for her reroot, I actually went in and did a parting for every single twist that comes out of her scalp. Oh my god. And it's kind of hard to see. It really, this was just because I wanted it to make sense. The rooting patterns for dolls often frustrate me a bit. But so, her hair has part lines all over her scalp. Each twist has its own separate part line. And then I also repainted this to look more accurate, but it's so tiny that you can't really tell, and it ended up being sticky, so I had to cover it in powder. But yeah, I did that on my Venus, and I think it's a detail that I know is there, which I feel glad about. But probably most people wouldn't notice that detail. I also stripped the paint off of her boots and repainted just this little, like, pattern of holes going upwards to be pink, and left the rest to be this stone texture, which I think just kind of looks cooler. It looks nicer. I kept her in her own jewelry. I kept her own belt, but I think it's nice. The denim and the t-shirt, I just didn't know what they exactly added to her color scheme, and I like her with this more limited green, pink, and silver color scheme, or green, pink, and gray, and then with little lavender accents like on her lips, which I think just really pops. Then next is my Ghoulia. I think she's maybe one of my least favorites, but just because I have a hard time connecting to Ghoulia. I really had quite a hard time trying to connect with her and figure out what I wanted to do for her. And I think I kind of based this off of other people's interpretations of Ghoulia as well. But so she has this pair of rainbow high shorts that I stained at the bottom to like be a bit zombie-ish. Same with this cropped sweater that I made for her that I stained near the seams and near the bottom. It's not a fully connecting fishnet top, but I tried to put it around her wrists and around her stomach so that it looks like she's wearing a fishnet top underneath. And then I took her Sculptment Secrets shoes and actually cut them down to be shorter, and she's wearing her little headphones and her glasses. And then her face, I tried to make it look kind of zombie-ish with the big eye bags and the gray pupils and everything. And again, quite straight eyebrows. I think that's just something I really enjoy on characters. With the dark red lips. She's rerooted with blue Kanekalon that I saw on Doll Hair Emporium is a match for OG Ghoulia, though I think she has a blend. But so her hair is really soft, and I don't have any other dolls with this texture, so that I do like about her. But there's something about this doll that I just don't connect with too well, and I haven't figured out how to change that. So she's there, she's alright. Now to come back to a doll I actually really like, Catty Noir. She is wearing a little crop top that's actually just her dress cut into pieces, and she has these little chain accents everywhere, like a little chain choker and a chain little thing around her tail, and this little belly chain as well, that are actually just the straps of her backpack. She is wearing Spectra shoes. I thought it fit the chain motif. I didn't like her original shoes. I made her this pair of low-waisted pants that kind of dips towards the middle. Her doll comes with a couple blue accents, so that's why I painted her eyes blue. And I think her eyebrows are really pretty. I painted all the little stars and sparkles. And I actually gave her just one snaggletooth because I thought that was really cute. And then gave her a little pink nose. My Catty came with kind of smudged ombre lips, so I was glad to get to do that again. And then for her hair, I've been meaning to make a tutorial on this, but I braided her hair all down her head and like made sure all the part lines made sense, and the braid is actually rooted into her head, it's not just glued on. And then I made these beads with epoxy sculpt, and I tried painting them blue, as you can see, but it was just a bit too bright for me and a bit too intense. So now just her eyes are blue, and I've left these gray until maybe I get a chrome pen or I figure out something else to do. And what I think you can also see is at the start I tried to kind of loop the hair back into the top bead, but that just kept getting really messy, so I only did it for I think the front 2 beads, and then just glued it at the bottom, which functions. It's doll hair, it doesn't need to go through a whole lot. But yeah, that was really fun to work on actually, and I got to reuse a lot of her hair for this and then also for the axolotl girl. I'm so excited to have so many dolls with different body types, and I think Catty is just such an exciting character to have, and I really like her. I think she's so sweet. I sometimes get a bit irked having 2 dolls that are too similar, like monster type or whatever, and that's why I'm so glad that like when it comes to werecats we have such a huge diversity in what the character looks like, what kind of body shape the character has, and then also the vibe of the characters. I think that's really great. I think that's really fun. Though in G3 actually they're both singers. Don't worry about that. Then we've got my Laguna redesign. She's actually based off of just one very silly thought that I had, which was the concept of a goth Guna, like a goth Laguna. I don't know if you would call her goth, but she wears a bit of black, and that's enough for me. I couldn't figure out how to still keep her feeling like Laguna and make her actually goth, so sorry to disappoint there. She is rerouted with a mix of Saran in, I think, Papaya and Fairy Tale maybe is the name of them. And I mixed them together to kind of perfectly match her skin tone. If you saw in Marla, I did something similar of matching the hair to her skin tone. I just thought that was something exciting. I also did that on Toralei a bit, if you ignore the red stripes. And then her color scheme is mostly pinks and turquoise and then black. And then up close you can see her eyes, her face. I really like how big and open her eyes look and how dark her pupils are. And then the little fins under her eye. I gave her these big glossy bubbly lips. She's wearing her Skultimate Secrets Viridescent shoe. This is a Skultimate Secrets Viridescent Laguna. She's wearing the Core Refresh shirt under this shirt that has a little piranha painted on it with a very funny little face. And then this is her Core fanny pack. And then I made the pair of pants. Her hair is very long and shiny and soft. And then for my final G3 redesign, we've got Deuce, who you got to see a video of me finishing his work in progress, so I'll not take too long. He's wearing his Ghoul Spirit shoes. He actually came with the Ghoul Spirit set. His eyes are repainted to be yellow. I think he looks a bit more cheeky than he does in his base doll, which to me feels a bit childish. He's got actual functioning pockets. He's got his G1 skelett on his sweater. There he goes. And now let's move on to original characters that I think could fit in with the G3 Monster High lore, with not too much difficulty. This is Lottie, my axolotl girl. If you haven't seen her video yet, you can check that out on my channel. She is a Laguna head on a Draculaura body that I modified to have longer legs and narrower hips. Her shoes are from Shadow High Rex, and then the rest of her clothes I made myself, or except the tights. The tights I did not make myself. Those are from Core Refresh Draculaura. I think her face is really cute with the little dot eyebrows, and her hair is all reused. This is from my Sadie. And you've got some Draculaura colors. This lilac color is from Laguna, and then the longest hair in the back comes from Catty, actually. She's more of a goth Guna than my goth Guna. I like her. I think her color scheme's nice. I don't know if you noticed, but I like a limited color scheme. Next, we've got another girl that's basically just a creature, not necessarily inspired by any sort of monster, though you could argue that she's maybe a more bat-inspired version of a vampire. Her name is Abbey. She's wearing a tailored rainbow high skirt, shirt, and then also rainbow high shoes, and I crocheted her little cardigan myself. She is a Dracula base with the nose and the ears sculpted on. She's rerouted with nylon that's, I think, in the color Marshmallow from the Doll Hair Emporium, and I braided it up into 2 ponytails. She has these tiny little vampire teeth, and I made her eyes red. I want to make her a little holiday dress. I think she'd look really nice in just a dark red dress, and I have a fabric I want to use. And I don't know if you can tell, but she's doing like a little hand heart like this. I do that with some of my dolls. You saw how I did it with Toralei, but this Frankie actually is holding up a little peace sign under their huge jacket. Very cute, very cute. And then lastly, for dolls that could feasibly be considered Monster High students, we've got my werewolf girl, Serena. She is a G1 Claudia doll with modified legs. It's a bit dark. She's not my best work, but I think her face is very sweet. Tried to use her smiley mold and make her look a bit less insane, because I think Claudia dolls look a bit unhinged. And then I braided her hair into these little buns. If you want to see a more detailed look at her, you can watch the video on my channel. Very cute. I think she's very cute. I picture her as like a more grounded, more knowledgeable balance to Clawdeen's very new, sweet, puppy-like demeanor in Monster High. Now we're getting into slightly more unhinged territory. This is Lorna. She is a G1 Lorna McNessie doll that came gracefully with her tail, but not with both of her leg fins. So I sculpted new leg fins and I made her this dress. She's rerouted with dark blue nylon with 2 long tails in the back with elastic bands that just crumbled in my hands. I made the dress like this so you can see the Celtic knotwork on her tummy. And then I also painted her arm fins and her little hands to match. I used only, I think, 2 or 3 colors on her face, trying to keep a very minimal color scheme. And this was one of the first face-ups where I was like, oh, I've got this figured out. Because I do all my face-ups with acrylics, and so it was kind of something I felt like I had to figure out more on my own than how to do it with the watercolor pencils. I feel like there's a lot more guides on that online. So I was very happy with her, and I like how sparkly her skin is. What I also thought would be interesting to show is the different heights of my G1 little sister body type girlies. So you can see that she's unaltered height-wise. She's a little bit shorter, and she looks taller because of her ears, but Marla is really the shortest. And then this is actually not the best measure because Twyla has such high platform shoes, but I think she's quite similar in height to Lorna. I have such excitement about the different body types in the doll. And then while we have Lorna out, I thought I'd bring out my one and only Pixling. First of all, Lorna, I imagine, is like a bog creature, so there's no reason she would be in Monster High. And then this is a child. She's not old enough to go to Monster High. However, I thought of this, and in my head, in my personal canon of my doll shelves, G3 Laguna's parents got divorced, remarried, had little Marina as a baby, and Lorna is her stepsister. So bog creature and sea monster from, I think she's from Honduras. Those parents got together, had this little baby, so they're 3 sisters. And she's actually fully unchanged. I haven't even really brushed her hair. I find that with smaller dolls, I just take them as they are a lot more easily than with full-size dolls. Now I've brought Una back out because she has a bit of a counterpart in this doll, which is named Poppy. She is a Clawdeen base rerouted with Lorna and Toralei's hair, and her hair is curled but a bit messily. And she has this dress that I made myself, and she has little body mods to have tiny little hooves. And I don't think these two really fit in the canon of G3 Monster High, but they get to be from the Fae realm. Maybe Lorna's family, in, you know, having a little half-sister for Laguna, opened up the door to the Fae realm, and these two came darting in. She's based off of a goat, she's based off of a sheep, even though I realize more goats have straight horns and sheep more often have curled horns, but don't worry about that. And then we bring out two more of my blind box BJDs that, wonderfully enough, correspond with Poppy and Una color-wise. Her name's Hazel and her name's Lily. And I imagine that maybe these two are more practiced magic users, and they both took on these little twin centaur girlies to coach them through magic use. And that's how the four of them fit together. These I have also left entirely unchanged. Poppy has this little fur in her ears. I just took Clawdeen's ears from up here and moved them down. Her horns are attached in the same way as Una's are. And then her eyes are like orangey and fiery and with the weird slit pupils. But I think her face is really sweet, and I like her funny little bangs. And then when we moved down, I used fur to cover up the leg transition because this was my first time doing body mods like this, and I didn't know how to do it quite nicely. I also think in working with this doll, I realized that I like my hooves to be a bit more My Little Pony-ish, the way that Una's hooves are, where they just come straight out of the leg, and it just looks a bit more clean in my opinion. But I think Poppy turned out really cute nonetheless. And if we're talking about indulgent dolls to have that do not fit with the rest of my collection, I think Mr. Nicol Bolis is probably the worst offender, which may be accurate for his character. He was the last of my Finishing My Works in Progress series, and absolutely for sure the most intense. His tail is fabric, his wings are mostly wire and fabric, and the fabric got very stiff with paint. He's rerouted with nylon from the Doll Hair Emporium again, and his horns are attached in the same way as Una's horns are. I just have the one way of attaching horns because it's so sturdy. And I think a fun feature that he has is that his eyes kind of follow you because they're so recessed. His armor is made with foam clay, and this little chest piece comes off really easily. And if you'd like to see him more in detail, I also have a full video on him up on my channel. And he comes with 2 apprentices. These are my last blind box BJDs in my collection, and I think the ones that made me kind of be over collecting them. I think they kind of disillusioned me a little bit, because this one, which my partner opened and named very creatively Little Dragon Boy, kind of playing off of the Little German Boy meme. And then this one, which I opened and I named, I think her name's Ophelia, if I remember correctly. Which, isn't she adorable? She's so cute, but she's way too tightly strung to the point that I can barely pose her, and I'm a bit scared to replace the elastic and not just get it wrong. And he's a bit too loosely strung, where he's also quite hard to pose because he can just kind of flop over quite often. But to make sense of why that these 3 are in the same world as the collection on my shelves, here's the concept. Nicol Bolis has been trapped in a dimension for the past who knows how long for the worst, absolutely the worst. He's been the worst. I'm going to argue that he spent that time locked in a dimension with nothing but himself. He spent that time to grow out his hair and better himself. And Draculaura, who's canonically a witch, opened up that dimension in the middle of a sleepover, and he just like came out and was actually kind of chill about it. And with Lorna's parents having opened up the Fae dimension, these two could peer their way in, and he was like, let me take on some apprentices. She's really talented at it, but not down with kind of the inconveniencing of people and the, you know, questionable ethics of her mentor. And he's down with the ethics. He just does not have the skill to measure up to it. So they have a cute little dynamic going on. Reluctant father figure with two cute little goobers running around. And now we're kind of reaching the end of, not my collection, but dolls that I can reasonably fit together in the same doll universe. And this is a pre-production G1 Clawdeen. I wanted her for years. I stuck a picture of her in my diary and fell asleep thinking about how badly I wanted this doll. And never got her. I think she might have been sold out by the time that my mom got to try and buy her. And so I never got her. I never thought that I would get her. And then the pre-productions came out and I was an adult and I just graduated and deserved a little treat. And so I bought her, and her screening is actually really beautiful. I was worried that she'd be really wonky, but her screening looks absolutely great. I think the lady in the store who had to go get her from the back might have on purpose picked out like the prettiest one for me because she just lines up beautifully. But her hair is quite frizzy, as you can see. And being that I like to repaint dolls, I think one of my future will be curling her hair like I did with my Spectra, because I just think she'd look gorgeous with that. And then also repainting her face, because I haven't repainted a lot of G1 dolls, and I think it'd be nice to see just what this doll would look like in my style. So look forward to that. And now on to absolute chaos. This one is too tall for the frame, and I don't know if I care. I don't like this one a lot. She was a part of a collab I did on Instagram, a Halloween collab where we were working with different aesthetics. And I picked the aesthetic of Victorian vampire, and I had this amazing fabric, this kind of, maybe it's shot satin, I don't know, but it has this amazing reflective quality where it reflects the blue, and so I wanted to make a blue vampire with these little burgundy splotches as an accent. So she is rerouted with dark blue and lilac hair, more dark blue at the top and then more light blue or lilac at the bottom. The same hair that I used for Una actually. Then I painted her entire body gray, which I really don't like. I think her chest modification looks kind of sick, especially with the collarbones, but her neck is way too long, and I'm so critical of myself right now. I lengthened her neck, but I broke her neck peg in the process, and I was able to preserve the turning of her neck, but I just kind of got sick of it and didn't preserve the tilting of the head, which is kind of necessary when her neck is this long. And then I also lengthened her legs, which is maybe one of the nicest leg lengthenings that I've done. It's just on a doll I really don't like. And actually I like the idea, I like the concept. I just think I kind of rushed the execution, and now I have a lot of regrets. And this is another doll I don't necessarily like. She was, I think, my second doll I ever customized, and she's based off of a G1 Venus flytrap, but she is based off of a dragon race that I've invented for one of the stories I want to write one day. And so she has these wings that come out from her chest. I modified her body to give her wider shoulders and a longer neck, and this time I actually did preserve the head tilt. I gave her horns and different ears and also modified her face. This is actually one of the first times, or no, this is the first time I figured out the method that I used on Una, and I was just surprised at how well it worked. Like, I'm squeezing her. I don't think most facial mods would hold on that well for squeezing. However, I did see someone on Instagram try and use my method, and I haven't heard from them in a while, and I worry that because they did not use epoxy sculpt or another clay that dries as hard, that it may have cracked anyways. So I'm really worried about that. If you're that person, I'm sorry, I did not think about it that deep. This is a piece of advice I will hold on to. Do these type of modifications with the with the sculpting of the sewing base with a really hard clay like epoxy sculpt, so that it doesn't crack. Or I think polymer clay might also be a good base, and then you can sculpt the rest on top with air dry clay, but the base needs to be sturdy to be able to hold the force of the bending vinyl together. Her name is Phoebe, and she has these horns that kind of jut out straight out of her forehead, and she's got this cheeky little side glance. I like her mouth shape. I really like the way I straightened off her nose bridge. I think her silhouette is really stunning. And her ears are cute. I just don't know what's up with her. I don't know what the point of this was. I don't know how she fits into my shelf setup. But she was one of the second dolls. She was the second doll I ever made. So I feel like I should keep her. This is another part of my collection of dolls that kind of came out of accidentally receiving 2 Ghoul Spirit sets. I was inspired by Jackie O to sand down her bandages. She's a Ghoul Spirit Cleo. I was inspired by Jackie O to sand down her bandages, though I think I could have done a more thorough job. I got a bit impatient. And as you can tell, I gave her a third eye. This is done with the same method where I just sewed through the head, tied a little knot, and then sculpted on top. And her hair is rerooted with just the light blue hair from the mix that Marla is rerooted with, the little mouse doll that I showed you. And then this is just like a plastic satin fabric that I kind of tied around her because I really didn't know how to dress her, to be honest. I don't know exactly what to do with her or how she makes sense in my collection. Like you could argue that maybe she stumbled out of the Fey realm as well, or is some sort of magic user, but what's she doing here, you know? I gave her no pupils just to give her more of a magical look, I guess. And I tried to make her lip shape quite oval because I thought that would look nice. I put her hair in a ponytail so that you can also see her little ears. I just sanded the edge off of Cleo's ears to make them kind of pointed. And now, to finish it off, she's the last doll that actually works with the Monster High scale of doll. She was also part of my finishing my works in progress dolls. If you want to see a video showing more details about her, she is rerooted with blonde saran. I think it's called Frozen. And then she has this little dress and these rainbow high shoes. And then up close, you can maybe tell that I used Deuce's head sculpt actually to make her. And tried to match that to the body. I had some trouble with the neck peg. And then I also sculpted her hands to try and be at a more accurate scale. And her nails are made of foam clay, so they're quite flexible. But I haven't been able to replicate it because the foam clay does not want to be glued to the usual plastic of the hands. I shortened her legs and did not do as nice of a job as on the vampire doll. And then I also used this like glittery makeup on her lips and on her eyes that I think is quite nice. I think she's nice. She's nice enough. So the name recommendation I got for her is Joanna Nightingale, and I think Joanna fits her vibe really well. I'm not sure about Nightingale as a last name, but I like Joanna. This recommendation was by @golden_rose_dolls. And it's very nice that people leave comments with ideas on my videos. I really appreciate it because I'm just doing this for fun. To just have people respond and tell me that they enjoy my stuff is really, really nice. It makes me feel seen. It makes me feel that there is some sense in me trying to share my passion for customizing dolls that don't make sense together on my shelves. Speaking of not necessarily making sense, we've got this Winx doll that is based off of a Stella doll. And at this point, none of the scale or the proportions of the dolls make sense together too much. I think at the start, I needed to experiment with what I liked with dolls just so I could know whether I wanted to commit to it. I'm not going to change her pose because she's just cute, but she's got her little face. I like the way her eyebrows came out and her little dress. I sculpted her shoes myself, though I'm not necessarily too proud of them. And she also has a video on my channel. All of these upcoming dolls have a video on my channel because they were part of my works in progress that I needed to conquer. Next is this little Cave Club doll that I don't have on a stand because she doesn't really fit on a stand and it also isn't necessary. She has this little rainbow high head. She's rerooted with nylon. I made her little outfit myself. And if you want to see the details on her face up, that's also in a video on my channel. But I think her face up is really sweet and I had a lot of fun figuring out what to do with her. And then speaking of tiny, we've got this little Bratz doll. When I made her, I also made this tiny little bathroom that kind of goes with her and is in her same scale. And I have, I think, 8 more mini Bratz that I could work on. But I don't think I'll do that anytime soon. Maybe I could make like tons of different animals. She's rerooted with nylon and I made her these little ears. Her face is done in the same way where it's sewn onto her head, but her head is kind of too stiff to be squished anyways. She's just absolutely tiny, so she makes no sense with all my other dolls. And then lastly, we've got this TV head, side table bodied Rainbow High doll. She has one of the longest videos about her on my channel that you can look at if you like. I did some bookbinding, I did some knitting, I did quite a bit of sculpting for her. And in the comments someone recommended maybe I try and bookbind a sketchbook and then draw all my dolls in there. And I really like that idea, so I might do that soon. And I also think she can be a bit of a reminder that I'm doing this for fun and it doesn't all have to make sense or work together. And I hope I didn't sound too complainy in this video about how my dolls don't make sense together. It's just that I like to tell a story with my dolls and it's a bit frustrating when the story doesn't necessarily work. But it's not something that actually truly bothers me. And all in all, this is a hobby that brings me a lot of joy and it's helped me connect to people online, which is really exciting. And I talked about it some in the video for this doll. I went to school for illustration and that kind of zapped the joy out of that for me. Learning how to do it and how to do it well. And so I feel really glad that I have a creative outlet that can have no pressure on it. Just be for fun and joy and no stress. And I think this doll especially was a good reminder of that because I did not stress about whether I was doing it right or whether I was doing it nicely. The sleeves aren't the same length, the back is connected quite shoddily, there's a lot of texture everywhere. And that doesn't matter, I just had fun. And I think if you need a reminder to just enjoy creative work rather than stressing about making it good enough or living up to some sort of perfect expectation, I think that's important. I think that's important to remember. We're just here to enjoy the time we have and do with it as we please rather than try and live up to something that someone else made up for us. And I try and do that all the time because I really need to. I get very stressed out otherwise. And Una is back to see you off. Thanks for watching. Thanks for making it through this probably ridiculously long video. Though I also don't think my channel's known for quick videos. I hope you enjoyed watching. As I said at the start, let me know if one of these dolls is your favorite. Let me know if you'd like to know more about any of them. Let me know in the comments if there's any other things that you would like to see from me. I'll be just working on my dolls every now and then when I find time and energy for it. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching. I hope to see you back again. Leave a like and a comment if you like the video and want me to know that you appreciate it. It does help encourage me. And if you want to see more of me, don't forget to subscribe. And if you've ever left comments or likes on any of my past videos, just know that they reach me and I'm very appreciative. Even if all my comments are just thank you and a little heart emoji. I genuinely don't know what to say half the time. But I appreciate that you're here.